Hello and welcome to my business spotlight. Today I'm going to be featuring a mortgage banker from WJBradley. His name is Tim Kozlowski. So I'd like to welcome Tim.
Thank you.
Today. Today we're going to talk about a couple things as far as what makes working with Tim unique, what makes his company unique, and he's going to tell us a little bit about the differences between mortgage bankers and mortgage brokers. So Tim.
So a mortgage banker, which is such as myself, is more of a direct funding company. A mortgage broker is they're using somebody else's funds to close the loan. There are more restrictions on the mortgage brokers these days than there are mortgage bankers when it relates to disclosure laws and things like that. So it's a little bit more of a complicated process now than it had been in the past.
So a mortgage banker, you're not going to be going into a bank to see a mortgage banker, or could
Not
you?
necessarily. You could be, but it doesn't have to be your traditional brick and mortar bank that you could be walking into. So it could be somebody that doesn't even offer checking or savings accounts.
And how about as far as the rates? Because everybody probably calls and shops rates. Or what's your rate?
Yep.
What's your rate? What is like the difference? Can you offer better rates because you use investors versus?
Yeah. So rates really are, in my opinion, rates are one component of the transaction. But when it relates to the rates itself, those rates can change from day to day. So one place might even have a lower rate one day. The next day their rates are higher than the next place. So there's not, in my opinion, any one single fact that you can point to and say that this person rates will always be better than this person or not. A lot of it does relate around to the fees and things like that. So there's a lot that goes into an interest rate and how that interest rate is put together.
And what makes you unique as Tim Kozlowski being the mortgage banker? What makes you unique?
I would say that I put myself in the position of being on the other side of the table. So I try to put myself in those clients' shoes to see what I would expect, knowing what I know, and I try to fulfill those expectations for the client, even if they don't have those expectations.
And what do you give your clients that they don't even know that you're giving? What do you?
I think the service is really is my main focus, and really listening to what they have to say. So I try to put two of those together and listen to what they say and try to develop a program or a game plan that would fit what they're telling me that they need.
Because everyone we all know are so different. Their circumstances are different. They say one thing and do another, and they call different places and they're calling a million companies.
Yes. And what I found a lot of times is that a lot of people try to push clients into one program, whether it's the right program for them or not. I couldn't tell you how many times I find people who were told by the previous place they talked to that FHA was the best deal, that's where they were going to go. And when they talked to me, we would run a couple different scenarios, FHA and conventional, and we found that by doing the conventional, they actually would save more money. It was a better long-term option for them. And again, that's the part of it, that listening to the client and hearing what they want to do can usually develop maybe something that wouldn't have been presented to them elsewhere. So
I'm always telling my clients, when they do a transaction, real estate transaction with me, I try to pull the best of all different teams. And we all know a realtor, we all know mortgage lender, attorney, and working with a team like yourself that is a team player that goes above and beyond. He gave me a pre-approval when his wife was in labor, so that tells you service like no other. If you had to tell your clients the best step or the first couple steps, if you could sum it up, what would you say?
I would say that the earliest time you can contact either myself or another mortgage lender would be preferred, because getting a jump on things before you are actually out looking at homes will usually set yourself up to be in a better position down the road. And at that time, we would tell you what kind of documentation we would be looking for, and what game plan we can develop for you at that time.
I try not to even put a person in my car or start looking without a pre-approval, because it's almost, I don't want to say it's a waste of my time, but if I'm showing them houses that are $350 and they're only qualified for $175, that's where you really come in and say, Terry, you know what, you need to have your client call me, and we need to work things out so that they can buy next year.
Right. I personally believe the pre-approval process is one of the most important processes, and I think as a realtor you probably could vouch for this, that there's been a lot of times you might have gotten a pre-approval letter from another company that maybe you didn't recognize, and you come to find out that person doesn't end up closing for one reason or another. And so I do like to put a lot of time in up front on that initial part of it to make sure that nobody's time is being wasted, that the client is getting in the right price range that would fit for them. You're not showing them houses that they wouldn't qualify for, and it seems to work out better that way. So
great. Well, thank you very much for
Wonderful,
being
thank
my spotlight, and I really enjoyed doing business
Thank
with
you,
you.
I
And
appreciate it.
hope we can do a lot more deals together.
Very good, thanks, Terry.
Thanks, Tim.